And so every time I think about something I don't like, I say, oh, shut up, Erkkila.
You have a question?
Barbara, as you became well known as a journalist, were you ever tempted to work as a journalist in Boston or further afield?
Were you interested in working in Boston and leaving Cape Ann maybe and having more of a career elsewhere?
Oh no, I just soon be a foreign journalist, yes, but I never was. But I did go to Russia and write about that, and sent my stories home, addressed to my husband, and he knew if it said, dear husband, it meant take it to the Times. You can have a lot of fun. But,
Could you tell us a little about Sylvester Ahola?
Sylvester Ahola. Can you talk about him a little bit?
Oh, he was a wonderful person. You know, he was noted for jazz trumpet playing. And whoa, he could make that trumpet. I'm sure if you've lived around here in Lanesville, you've heard Sylvester. And he had recordings. But when you went to his home, he and his wife, he had two trumpets. One was an overcoat trumpet that fit in his pocket. He had big pockets. And he told me about that. But you couldn't leave until he played something special for you. Everybody, not just me, everybody had a song played special for him on the trumpet. Can you hear me? I forgot about this. Yeah. And so and whenever the church needed someone to play the trumpet, he was right there. And when we had celebrations, and you've heard of the Barnacle Bazaar? Oh, that is something. Even the little kids were down there wanting to hear more and do more and put on shows and such. Anything to help.
And ride the motorcycles.
And ride the motorcycles.
That's right, my husband got hold of it. Well, he rented a sidecar so he could take passengers for 25 cents. And, you know, at the Barnacle Bazaar and take them all through Lanesville. I don't know where they went, but it was just wonderful. See, everybody works together, and that's how we got this community center.
So let's finish on that. Let's talk about the community center.
All right, dear. What do you want to know? She knows more than I do.
No.
No, you don't.
But you're on the stage.
You
so.
were the first secretary, and your minutes, the first page of minutes are hanging on the wall here.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So what did it feel like? You told me that you were looking for places for your kids to play, to come together with the other mothers. What was going on then?
Oh, well, Pauline Pistioner and Evelyn Parsons. Evelyn's maiden name was Brownblatt. And they got together, they told me this, and they said, come on, Barbara, get in on this. We want to try to get that out of the barn.
This is before the front got torn down by the guy with the backhoe, the horse
Oh,
barn?
you think they just moved the horse out of it. You know, and this, I see you've got stanchions in here. Yeah. And when you came in, there were chicken feathers blowing around the floor. And we sat on anything you could sit on. These old cotton or any old thing. And we decided that if we each gave, I don't know if now it was $2 or $10.
No, it's a
There
couple
were just
hundred.
6 of us.
How much did it cost, the whole barn?
I don't remember.
It was about 2,000.
What was it?
It was about 2,000,
Was it 2,000?
something like
Yeah,
that.
something.
Yes, you got a mortgage for $2,000.
2,000?
6 of you signed it, and I'm not sure how long it took, but you paid it off, and you gave the community this building as a gift.
Wow.
Oh, that's exciting. My shoes are coming off, I got excited.
So what was the first party you had here? What was the first event? Do you remember, or a good one?
Well, we always had coffee, and Nizzo, and Helen, who's Helen's name?
Whole life.
Helen Fuller made the coffee out in the Hill house. It was a, what am I doing now?
No, you're fine doing it.
There was a little concrete house outside. Is it still there? I don't know. And that's where we sat for coffee. And the water and coffee actually came from Helen Oyentucker's house across the street. But Helen was a supervisor. She could make the best coffee. And that's where we sat and relaxed, and then we decided, well, what do we got to do next? And can we get some help? And of course our husbands were dragged in immediately. We couldn't do a thing without them. No, that's true. You better share it. It was wonderful. Boy, those were the days, and the kids were all excited over it until they found the fire ants. And everything was just wonderful. And they got a lot of money for the junk that they found. The kids did it. We didn't. And that's what's good. The kids are sharing. You know, it doesn't. And we didn't have a real money drive. Though someone said to us, "Why didn't we?" We said, "Well, that's too much work." So, and the fellas did everything themselves. Tyso Polka was in charge of putting the, what do you call it, pouring cement. We had cement poured, and that was great after the chicken feathers. But the place was clean. And Mrs. Ahola lived across the street. Excuse me. And was she alive then? No.
Yeah. Yes, she had a weaving shed right there. She wove, remember? She had a loom.
Rugs? She made rag rugs?
Yeah. She made rag rugs in the shed right here.
She did?
Yeah.
I missed that.
You missed the story.
Oh, we did. We've done so many things.
Do you remember the pie socials?
Yes, I
Oh, yes.
And the clam bake?
I probably made some of the pies.
You remember the day we dug the pits for the clam bake?
Yes, in fact, you were in charge.
I was chairman, I'd never. I
They
had
made
never
her
even
chairman
heard
of
of clam
the
bake.
clam bake.
But the wonderful thing about the clam bake was that even though I was, quotes, chairman, the men all knew exactly what to do. And they came a couple of days before the clam bake, and they dug the holes, and they lined it with rocks. And the day of the clam bake, or the night before, they gathered all that scrap lumber that was lying around and built a big fire, heated up the rocks, and they gathered up seaweed from the cove.
Johnny
Kids
King
did that.
And yeah, you did that.
Yeah.
And then we had lobsters, clams, corn, and the women had, well, I had to phone around and get pies.
I guess it was pies. But I was amazed when you tell me we had to practice one first.
Yeah, there was.
I love that.
Well, we've never put on our own clam bake. We better have one for practice. So my husband said, well, I'll start things going and we'll get helpers. And sure enough, then all the families of our own group came with the kids. Oh, what a wonderful time we had. So then they planned 6 pits. Well, I think it was 6.
Well, everybody pitched in, and it's still happening, which is a wonderful thing about the Lanesville Community Center,
Right.
is it's still happening, and thanks to our fearless leader back there. People are giving time, and people are working together. To me, it's just incredible. Grew up in the city, I never understood this. It was great.
It's wonderful because if you needed something, the word went out. The community center needs a couple of chairs. Oh, we had chairs we didn't have. We had silent movies. This young man from Bolly Cove, down for the summer with his family, he's asked me if I'd be interested if he could show some of his silent movies, you know, Charlie Chan. Who's the one with the general locomotive? That's in Charlie Chaplin too. And just though he didn't get up as far as Harold Lloyd, but you know, he was I remember Harold Lloyd. But anyway, we had more fun. That community center at the time, because it wasn't this beautiful width it made it was narrower. In every little place you could sit, somebody was sitting on a box or a cushion or something they dragged in to sit on. There weren't enough chairs, we only had 6 chairs. But the main thing was see the movies, and I went outside. I don't know, something in the car, I guess. And I went outside, and all of a sudden I heard laughing and laughing. And there was that dark community center, because naturally the lights are out, and everyone laughed. That is terrific. There's no word to describe it.
Well, I think this is a good place to pause and see if anybody has one more question, and then we can have coffee and eat bread. All right, we have a question.
When did the steam trains stop running, and do you know what ever happened to them, the quarry trains?
The quarry train?
The steam trains, the Polyphemus. You know what happened?
Oh yes, the Polyphemus. That was pushed by the side of the quarry road for a long time. I saw a tree growing up through it. And that was about 1930, 31 too.
Well, Barbara, we have something to show you.
But we have one question.
We have one.
One
No, I just have one question. Didn't you used to write like articles about Bayview goings on and Lanesville goings on too? Because
Yes, I did.
my neighbor Nikki Kokenny gave me. Do you have that with you, Nikki? I do. A little article that you wrote about a play that us kids put on in Bayview.
Oh yeah, I used to write the baby.
Yeah, and it was so descriptive. What was it, Cinderella or something? Yeah, and she gave it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh! And it was a very nice article that was quite long. Mentioned all our names.
You were reviewed.
It was wonderful.
All right, so you have something.
Before we
to say.
close, we have a stone with your name engraved on it.
Wow.
As one of
Gee, how big is it?
It's one of the foundation stones, because you are one of the foundation stones of Lanesville Community Center.
I just was lucky to outlast the others.
And speaking of our fearless leader, it happens to be his birthday. And happy birthday.
How about that? Thank you for coming to my birthday party.
You want to talk about this stone?
I can just say very briefly that, as you know, we've done some renovations on the Lanesville Community Center. And as part of the process of tearing out the old floor, I hate to tell you, we did tear out the old concrete floor, it's gone. But when we tore it out, we had to support the roof. And so we had 4 holes in the new floor holding up the roof. And now we have 4 holes in the floor, and we are filling those holes with what we're calling the foundation stones of the Lanesville Community Center. And you are in the first one, which is over by that column there, next to Frank Garrison. And it's a block of granite, Cape Ann granite, because I was told it has to be Cape Ann granite. And we got it from Terry Dutton's quarry over on the Rockport-Lanesville line. And the name of the quarry, is it Grondblatts?
Yes.
Thank you. So it's a piece of local granite in your honor, and it's our very small way of saying thank you very much for getting us going in 1954.